Welcome to the project tonight. After 5 long weeks, accused mushroom killer Erin Patterson has taken the stand. We'll have all the latest from inside the court.
Also wrongfully detained in a Chinese prison for more than 3 years, an Aussie journalist and mum of 2 shares her incredible story.
Crowded House fans rejoice. Neil Finn joins us with some huge news.
Love it. Plus, new parents, guess what? The science is in. How singing to your child makes for a happier little human. I reckon that Pricey's mum made him listen to Talkback Radio. Correct.
What about if you got a bad voice? How do your baby go?
Oh, you just keep singing.
No excuse, Steve. Get onto it. We are live from the lands of the Cooler Nation. Let's see what's making headlines.
Well, in news today, accused murderer Erin Patterson has finally taken the witness stand to give evidence at her trial in regional Victoria. She testified for about an hour before court was adjourned for the day. Her lawyers asked her questions about her life and her relationships with estranged husband Simon and her in-laws. She also testified she was battling low self-esteem in 2023, the year of the fatal mushroom lunch. Erin has pleaded not guilty to all charges. She's expected to return to the witness stand tomorrow. And we'll have a full report from inside the courthouse later in the show.
Anthony Albanese continues to push back against US calls for Australia to boost its defence spending. The Americans want us to up our investment to 3.5% of GDP ASAP, tens of billions of dollars more than we currently spend. The PM says Australia will take a different approach, sparking concerns it could strain the relationship with our closest ally.
What you should do in defence is decide what you need, your capability, and then provide for it.
A secret, unprecedented Ukrainian plan, codenamed Operation Spiderweb, has dealt Moscow a massive blow and left Russia reeling. Ukraine has launched its largest single-day attack on Russia yet. Dozens of drones rigged with explosives were smuggled close to 4 Russian air bases where they launched remotely, destroying 40 military planes and crippling Russia's long-range bombing capabilities.
Russia suffered truly significant losses, entirely justified and deserved.
The attack, more than 18 months in the planning, comes on the eve of more peace talks in Turkey. The FBI has labelled a terrifying attack on a Colorado rally for Israeli hostages a targeted act of terrorism. Witnesses say a man was heard shouting "Free Palestine" as he used a makeshift flamethrower and Molotov cocktails to set people on fire. 8 people were injured, 1 critically. A 45-year-old suspect is in custody. And Greta Thunberg has set sail with the activist group Freedom Flotilla Coalition with the aim of breaking Israel's siege of Gaza. Also on board, Game of Thrones star Liam Cunningham.
Well, this is a humanitarian mission doing what the rest of the world should be doing.
Their goal is not only to deliver vital aid, but raise awareness about the continuing humanitarian crisis in the devastated territory.
No matter what odds we are against, we have to keep trying, because the moment we stop trying is when we lose our humanity.
And in more news back home, it's that time of year again. Sydney Airport is about to auction off the contents of its lost property room. Everything passengers forgot to take with them is up for grabs, including jewellery, a tent, a minion, and even musical instruments. Wow. The money raised will help the Royal Life Saving Society provide free swimming lessons for kids in Sydney.
I'd say some of the more unusual items that we're wondering how exactly they turned up here. We've got a vacuum cleaner, we've got a coffee machine, we've got an air fryer, and we've even got a fry pan.
Yeah, good on you. Can I get my iPad back that I lost 5 years ago?
Yeah.
5 years ago.
No, you sold, mate.
What?
You're 4 years too late for that. If they find 3 pairs of AirPods, though, they are mine. I've lost so many this year.
I've registered and I'm ready to bid, and there are a lot of headphones up for grabs. Starting bids like $50. But this is what caught my eye. The jewellery category, they say, is worth exploring because for anyone who's lost sentimental pieces, a number of lost gold and diamond-studded rings engraved with names, dates and initials.
They're all mine.
I auctioned those off.
I lost all of those
and
as
also,
well.
what if it's yours? Do you have to buy it back?
Yeah, maybe you do.
Yeah, that's so embarrassing. You've got to buy back your Minions backpack. God damn it.
No, but at least I finally get it back.
I know, right? Now, let's go to Florida, where shrimp catchers have been pulling up an unusual amount of space junk. Thankfully, the local Fox News team, they had an expert on hand to explain exactly what was going on.
Shrimp with a side of space? That's not what shrimpers want to see in their nets. It's hard to tell what exactly the debris is, so we showed the pictures to multiple space sources.
That is a really big piece of whatever it is.
That guy, not bad as well. They then asked him where it came from, and he said, like, a pretty big blue place. So you can't fault the guy whatsoever.
Where's the lie?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no lie as well.
Also, a lot of competition for that at the airport auction. It's going to be amazing. We are off to break.
That's border security.
Well, a comfortable win from pole position for Oscar Piastri at the Spanish Grand Prix. The victory extending his lead in the Drivers' Championship over McLaren teammate Lando Norris to 10 points. Oscar managed to avoid the carnage that happened late in the race. World champion Max Verstappen is now dangerously close to a race ban after being penalised over a crash involving Mercedes driver George Russell.
When it comes to a book, how many pages do you have to get through before you can claim you've read it? A recent survey shows around 90% of those aged 50 plus believe you have to read the whole book, but only 61% of 18 to 24-year-olds agree. 16% say reading more than half the book is enough. 5% say just a few chapters will do the trick.
Oh my God!
I don't get it. Have you read a book?
Doesn't it depend how good the book is? I mean,
No.
you pick up a book and you get into page 3 and it's crap. You
Yeah, but
don't
you
want
don't
to keep
read it.
reading.
But then you don't say you've read it.
Yeah.
Life's too short to read a bad book, but you don't read 3 pages and go, oh yeah.
You read page 1 and the last page.
And then work it out. I mean, it's whenever the audio book, they stop talking, right?
Yeah, does that count? Does an audio book count as having read
Surely
the
not.
book?
I don't know. It's like if you don't find Wally, have you read the book?
That's a really good point. So
That's actually maybe the most profound thing I've ever said on the show.
So you've looked at every page.
Yeah, and you
you've
didn't find
devoted
him.
an hour to it, but you haven't found him.
Yeah, because it's like reading the words, but they don't mean anything.
Serious question. A millennial like you,
Thank
you're
you.
a millennial, right?
Thank you, Pricey.
Do you read books?
I do, but you know, I'm a bit of a bookworm. I do read books, but I struggle with like I'll be really into books, like I'll read a lot in 6 months and then won't read anything except tweets or Instagram.
Get off your
reels.
phone.
Well, how did it end up there? I mean, I like to read.
My boy finished the whole Harry Potter series.
Yeah.
And I went, that's amazing. He's like, well, the movies.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, how is that?
Yeah.
That's not right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree it's not right, but hey, whatever, we're complex humans. Anyway, NBA legend, I'm going to show how complex we are. NBA legend Shaq once said, excellence is not a singular act, but a habit. He also said, if I was a painter, you'd be calling me Shakasso, which I think is pretty funny. Anyway, let's combine sports and funny and get into this. This is supposed to be funny. Let's talk rugby league because Queenslander Jessica Elliston won best on ground in the final game of the Women's State of Origin thanks to her silky skills and very safe hands.
Thanks, Jess. I'll let you go enjoy it with the girls.
Thank you.
Oh no!
She's dropped it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Clear knock on. New South Wales medal, Superior State. We've done it again. Move on. Now, I don't want to talk AFL because it's stupid and my team's going bad, but let's talk Australia's other favourite sport, American baseball, because when this commentator read out an ad for erectile dysfunction pills, it gave his mate more questions than answers.
By Blue Chew. Chew it and do it.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
I just read the copy here. I try to give it a good read, try and give the advertiser everything that they paid for, Keith, and then it's somebody else's problem.
I mean, I don't know what he's talking about, but Waleed said he can fill me in after the show.
Yeah, I got all the details.
Yes, right. Now to golf, where Scotty Scheffler, he just keeps winning. He's won back-to-back memorial tournaments, which his infant son found so exciting. There's no other way to say this. He shot himself.
He had so much fun watching me win.
Look at his back.
He has cake all over his back, so be prepared. Sorry.
Exactly the same thing happened when I played golf with Pricey.
It's going to be all night, isn't it?
Now let's go to the Oregon State Track and Field High School Championships. I never miss it, obviously, but because you can see gems like what might be the best finish to a 100-metre hurdles race in history.
Front, who can finish behind Brooklyn, though?
Way up.
Brooklyn
wins.
Yes. Somersaults her way to the lead.
That's incredible because obviously she won the race and she's a better breakdancer than Ray Gun. Isn't that actually crazy? I can't put it off any longer. We're going to get to it. AFL, there were lows. Sydney got smashed, but there were highs. Richmond also lost. But the hottest contest of the round didn't come from any footy team. It was the WA mascot race at yesterday's Eagles game.
here they go. I know Fat Cat's in there.
Here
and
we go.
Wildcat got a good weight. So did
Wildcat's
the Eagle. The Eagle got out. Look at Wildcat coming on strongly. Wildcat's just streaking away. Look at this. The Eagles can't catch. And the Hard Foundation's in there just for the run.
Now, it's a big race, and obviously, as we all know, the winner gets a date with Dorothy the dinosaur, so a lot to run for. Finally, let's talk soccer, where this cheeky move in Belgium left players with bigger headaches than Melbourne City fans after their grand final win. Look at that. Look at this. Slow this down again. The double falcon. It's actually, look, it's beautiful. It's like the Mona Lisa or the Statue of David. I could watch it on loop all day, to be honest. Look at this. Keep it going. I'm loving it. It's actually, if you tweak it, it's kind of like a banging techno track, don't you think? Like, see, Price is on the floor.
Not bad.
All right, that was the end of the segment. So, not bad.
That's high praise.
If I could get not bad every week, I would be on cloud nine.
You really would. After break season.
This is the project.
Securing funding through the NDIS for housing, carers and equipment is vital for thousands of Australians living with a disability, but it's not always easy. We spoke with one mum who spent 5 years applying for a home modification grant on behalf of her adult son.
He was always happy. He's like a happy little boy, but he just couldn't do what the other kids were doing. Even now, as a 25-year-old, he wants to do what other people are doing. He wants to be part of society.
Crystal's son Xavier has cerebral palsy and a sensory processing disorder.
He also needs assistance with every aspect of his day. He needs someone to help him get out of bed. He needs someone to help bathe him, shower him.
The Dirksen family live in Sale in regional Victoria, in a purpose-built rental property for families with disabilities. But after 5 years, the family has been issued an eviction notice, with the owners wanting to rezone the property for commercial purposes.
Where do you go when you've got someone with a physical, significant, complex disability to live? You can't rent just normally. It's quite scary, not being able to sleep, not knowing what's happening next.
When Xavier was little, the family lived in this house in Loch Sport. It was owned by Crystal's family and passed on to her and her siblings. But it needs renovations to house an adult with special needs.
Chair's over 300 kilos, so we need a ramp. Doorway's too narrow, and obviously concrete steps. And the angle is very dangerous as well. Oh, it's a really tight fit, obviously, even to manoeuvre him around to the side of the bed. So he's not in a wheelchair. We're actually assisting him physically because a walking frame wouldn't even navigate around that space. It's just not safe.
The family needs to renovate Xavier's bedroom, the kitchen and bathrooms. They're also planning to add a garage and a pool for Xavier's rehabilitation work. But the modifications to make the home accessible will cost more than $1 million. In July 2023, Crystal applied for NDIS funding to cover the areas of the home that Xavier would use, around half the house. In total, she applied for around $500,000, with Crystal hoping they might at least get Xavier's bedroom extensions covered so they could move in.
You put in the paperwork and then you wait for a reply. And then somebody says, oh, no, it's not been approved, but they haven't given you any real reason as to why or what you need to do next.
But their most recent claim, submitted in November 2024, was also rejected.
Having to deal with bureaucracy and all of those things gets exhausting when you're trying to change nappies, and I'm trying to care for Xav.
A spokesperson for the NDIS told us they do not fund the cost of building a new home and are focused on helping to modify homes for people with disability to have accessible accommodation.
The delegate that was speaking to us made a statement, a blanket statement that basically said, you can't expect them to demolish and fully do a brand new rebuild. And I was just in confusion because we didn't say that in the application, and it's not in the application. So they've clearly not read it.
Nicole Doherty is the founder of Empowered Livability, a housing provider for people with disabilities. She's worked for more than a decade to help people secure housing funding through the NDIS.
Unfortunately, it's pretty common for families to fall through the cracks. When they're rejected, they're not necessarily told, hey, have you thought about this instead? So they're then left saying, well, what do we do now? We've been waiting for 3, 4, 5 years and now still have no outcome.
Nicole says she often advises her clients to look at specialist disability accommodation funding as an alternative to home modification. The NDIS will provide tens of thousands of dollars a year for people to rent purpose-built disability accommodation for up to 20 years.
No one talks about that future planning in terms of, once parents pass away, which is horrible for a parent to have to think about. But thinking about if they have more than one child, that if that house has to be sold, then, the person with a disability has to look at other options.
Crystal said she's never been told about SDA funding in her interactions with the NDIS.
I wasn't aware of SDA. I didn't understand the concept. I wouldn't say no outright. I would say we need to consider it, but we need to stay together as a family. So it's on the table.
The family need to be out of their current home by July 15. The uncertainty around the family's living arrangements is taking a toll on Xavier's mental health.
In the last few weeks, he's been showing real signs of depression. His regular happy self is something that I would hate to see go. And he's not been eating properly. He's not been sleeping properly. And that's just with the stress of being evicted. Would like to think as a society we can improve. And when an organisation as big as the NDIS that really needs to be helping the most vulnerable people in the community do their job properly, those vulnerable people should feel safe and have dignity and have choice.
Given how much we've been told the NDIS is wasted in terms of being rorted by people who, not by people with disabilities, but by providers, you would think that there could be a halfway solution here. I mean, the local federal member of parliament, for a start, should be helping them find a halfway house that they can live in until they can do those renovations. And maybe they can't get the full cost of the reno, but you'd think that his bedroom and a bathroom and a ramp.
That's right. Or even to put the call out to some local tradies in the area.
Oh, I'm sure they do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that if we could put them in touch with the family and follow up, because this is a family that needs to stay together and they need somewhere to live now.
And they don't have time to navigate complex systems while they're just trying to care for Xavier.
The clock's ticking down to the 15th of July, for goodness sake.
Totally. We did contact the NDIS. You can read the full response from them on our website.
You're watching The Project. Back after this.
Welcome back. You're watching The Project. Exciting night. Neil Finn is on tonight.
The great man.
One of the best songwriters this country has ever produced.
A wonderful Australian.
Oh.
God.
We're claiming him.
Absolutely. Nice. But he's, as a songwriter, can I say, sorry, I don't want to derail the show, but as a songwriter, vastly underappreciated, even though he is so appreciated.
I think globally, it's like you can't argue with it. It's like his song catalogue is amazing, and they're iconic, and everyone knows them. Yeah. Sing-alongs. He's one of the best.
It's going to be great.
All right, let's get some more news now. And accused triple murderer Erin Patterson took the stand today to tell the jury, in her own words, her own story. After watching on for 5 weeks, wearing a long-sleeved black and white paisley shirt and dark pants, Erin Patterson entered the witness box. Patterson told the court about her life in the month leading up to the fatal lunch.
My children had just recently settled into a new school. I had changed schools at the start of that term.
The court heard that Patterson was accepted into a Bachelor of Nursing and Midwifery at the beginning of 2023, but had deferred due to her daughter's health.
We had it under control by the middle of 2023, so I was planning to take that placement at the start of 2024.
Patterson recounted her struggles with her own mental health.
I'd been fighting a never-ending battle of low self-esteem most of my adult life.
Her testimony then turned to her relationship with her in-laws.
I had felt for some months that my relationship with the wider Patterson family, particularly Don and Gail, had a bit more distance or space put between us. We saw each other less. Perhaps I wasn't being invited to so many things.
And her relationship with her estranged husband, Simon. The court heard they separated several times between 2009 and 2015.
We just couldn't communicate well when we disagreed about something. We could never communicate in a way that would make each of us feel heard and understood.
Erin Patterson is expected to continue her testimony tomorrow. She has pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Erin Patterson is The Age's crime and justice reporter, and she was in the Morwell court once again today. Erin, this is a big moment in the case. We should point out the accused doesn't have to give evidence. So what was the reaction in court like when it was announced that she would take the stand?
That's right. After 20-something days of prosecution evidence, about 3 o'clock today, one of the Crown prosecutors stood up and said, finally, we close our case. And Defence Barrister Colin Mandy stood up and said, I call Erin Patterson. There wasn't a huge reaction in the room, but you could have heard a pin drop. Everybody was sort of looking around at one another. It was another packed day in the courtroom, not a spare seat to be seen. But nobody dared make a sound at that point. Everybody was just waiting in anticipation for the accused to take to the stand.
Yeah, the jury hasn't heard Erin speak so far, but how did Erin appear during her time on the witness stand?
Yeah, so she sat in the witness box on like an office chair that faces directly to the jury, with her defence barrister in the middle, turned to his left and firing questions at her from that direction. She was incredibly calm and collected in her evidence. She would often pause before answering. She got a little bit emotional when she was speaking about the birth of her son and about the way that they were parenting her and Simon Patterson after they separated. But she would pause, as I said, before answering a lot of questions. You could see her hands and her fingers intertwined. And when she would reach for a cup of water, there was a slight shake there. She was on the stand for less than an hour and is expected to continue giving her evidence tomorrow.
Anyone following this was hanging on every word, so Erin started talking about personal history. Did we get a lot of detail?
Yeah, so the defence really started asking questions about what was life like for Erin Patterson in July of 2023 and the months leading up to the fatal lunch. And she explained that her relationship with Simon had become less friendly and their communications were sort of more structured, and she felt that they'd lost that friendship. But she also explained that she felt like she was being perhaps invited to less family events. She felt that there was a degree of separation forming between her and her in-laws, Don and Gail Patterson. And then she explained that she was at the time also having some self-esteem issues. She was planning some weight loss surgery, and her children had also recently moved into a new school and were settling in there. So she was taken through what was going on in 2023 for her. And then the questioning switched to a bit of a timeline. She was asked when she first met Simon Patterson, when they got engaged and got married. And she was explaining, guys, that she was an atheist at the time, but it was during one visit to the Corumburra Church, the Baptist church there, that she said she had a bit of a spiritual experience and things changed, and she too, along with her husband, became Christian.
Wow. OK. Also, what about Ian Wilkinson and the extended Patterson family? How were they during Erin's testimony?
Yeah, there was about a dozen of them seated in the courtroom today. They were seated on the opposite side of the courtroom to where Erin Patterson was giving her evidence. Probably about half of them stared down to the ground or straight ahead for a majority of the evidence, not turning to look at the accused woman as she spoke, whereas others were quite consistent in watching what she had to say. As you mentioned, Ian Wilkinson was also present, seated in the back room, and he sat with his arms crossed for much of her evidence. We could see him staring straight ahead for a majority of the afternoon. I only saw him glance at the accused maybe once or twice.
Erin, you mentioned she's going to continue to take the stand tomorrow. They're going through in a lot of detail. We're not even really up to the fateful events of that day. How long do you think that Erin Patterson could be on the stand here?
I think that's anybody's guess. We know that when an accused takes to the witness stand, that it's their defence barrister that asks the questions first. And once those questions are finished, the prosecution then have an opportunity to cross-examine her. I guess we wait and see what the next few days will look like.
All right. Erin, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
What's on a very different legal matter now? Accused of spying, Cheng spent 3 years in Chinese detention. Now the Australian journalist is exposing the grim reality of life behind bars in China.
Thank you for taking time out to do this interview with us, Mr. President.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure for me.
Born in China, Cheng grew up in Melbourne. In 2001, she moved back. eventually anchoring on the state-run English-language station CGTN.
The censorship standard for the English channel is much more loose.
But on August the 13th, 2020, Cheng Lei vanished.
Getting bundled into a car, taken off to a facility.
Snatched from her office in Beijing, Lei would spend the next 6 months in isolation without charge.
A cell with 2 people controlling everything you do day in, day out.
In February 2021, China revealed Lei was accused of supplying state secrets overseas. The details of the charge were never made public.
It's almost 100% conviction rate if you're actually arrested and charged in China.
Cheng Lei was seized during a point of acute tension in the Australia-China relationship in 2020. It's hard not to conclude that her detention was politically motivated.
The mother of 2 tried behind closed doors more than a year later, but she wasn't told the verdict.
It's incredibly difficult not knowing when things are going to end. At least when you have a date, you can prepare your mind and your body.
In a love letter to Australia, Lei wrote,
"I miss the sun. In my cell, the sunlight shines through the window, but I can stand in it for only 10 hours a year. Most of all, I miss my children."
She's missed her daughter going into high school. Her son will go into high school next year. Those are times you can't get back.
In October 2023, China set Cheng Lei free, claiming she'd pleaded guilty and served her sentence.
Welcome home. Thank you.
Now, Cheng Lei is sharing her story, laying bare the 3 years and 2 months she spent in a Chinese prison, fighting for her freedom.
And Cheng Lei is with us on the desk now.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
You are such a warrior, and your book it kind of details your survival in a Chinese prison. But I want to begin at the start, which was with you in isolation for 6 months. Can you describe what that was like?
Well, first of all, you are so shocked and full of anguish, about what you've possibly done wrong. Your mind is on fire, but then your body needs to be completely still, and you cannot move without permission, and you're stared at by 2 people. So I don't know of any other regime that has torture like that, and it strips you of your identity. It makes you feel utterly powerless, as if those guards can see into your soul, like this distance, and 2 people at all times. So it's a really bizarre type of torture called RSDL, which Chinese lawyers have tried for years to abolish. Wow. And I hope by telling people what this is like, we'll have more voices around the world to call for this abhorrent
You had to even
practice.
ask for permission to scratch your face. Is that right?
Well, you just cannot make any moves without getting permission.
Wow.
And those were the only words that you could say in a day. And this is from, we're all chatterboxes, we're all professional gossips. And then you cannot say anything, and you're full of questions. You can't ask for the time even. So it's just,
Oh, wow. I mean, but then there's also just the emotional side of it, the life stuff. You missed 3 years of your kid's life. How do you come out the other side of that? Is it bitterness? Is it anger? Is it gratitude that you see them again? Like, what is that moment?
Obviously, there's a lot of sense of loss.
Yeah.
But I don't dwell on that because it's already done. And I'd rather spend time thinking, how am I going to make things better for my kids, for myself, for other people still suffering in incarceration, and think about how things could have been worse. Perhaps had we not changed governments and had our diplomacy efforts not been so strong, that I'd still be there. And that thought keeps me quite content.
How did you get through it, though, like day to day? How did you do it? It seems amazing.
I think people, if they read my book, will see that that wasn't the only test that I've been given in life. And I'm almost, feel like saying to the heavens, please, no more. I'm strong now. It's okay. So all the adversity I had to deal with before did prepare me a little for the ultimate catastrophe. But also I had support from average Australians. A nun who didn't know me but heard about my plight wrote to me in detention. All of you guys, at one time or another, in some way or another, spoke up for me. And the other day, my son told me after there was a story about me in the papers that came out, and someone in his class read it and then gave him a hug. And that's our country.
Didn't you also find a way to make things fun, in a way, while you actually had to keep your mind busy? So what did you do to kind of rail against the boredom and the horror of it all?
Well, the thing is, we have so much at our fingertips. We don't have to do anything to be entertained, to be soothed, to be rid of boredom. And in there, you have to do everything yourself. A lot of mental heavy lifting. You've got to be your own coach, your own priest, your own physical coach, as a trainer, and you have to just keep talking to yourself. For example, I told myself that a burpee hurts wherever you are, and learning vocab in a new language perhaps can be quite a chore anywhere. And I would combine those two. I would be doing a squat and then trying to remember vocab at the same time. And you know, you can be outside and still think, oh, I've got to do another squat.
Just doing the squats enough, really.
That sounds like
Apart from anything else, you've revolutionised the education system. Burpees and spelling and vocab at the same time sounds like a remarkable exercise.
PE and languages.
There is so much more to your story as you've gestured towards. There's no way we could do it justice here, but that is the book if you want to get all of it. Cheng Lei's book, A Memoir of Freedom. It is out on Wednesday. Would you please thank Cheng Lei?
More projects on the way. Stick around.
Coming up.
This is the project.
Winter has finally arrived and Sarah and I have had enough of wardrobe. No, we have reasons
so
for this.
cozy.
The cold weather sets in, but this year's Hoodies for Homelessness campaign is firing up with it. Now in its 4th year, it was established by streetwear brand Homie. It's raised around $750,000, in fact more than that, to help Aussies sleeping rough every night.
Such a great cause, and there's no one who wears a hoodie better than our mate and Homie ambassador, Tommy Litter.
Thank you very much. We all got the memo. That's good. Pricey, your shoulder is sore. I understand that.
Sorry, apologies.
No, you're always down for the cause.
You do a great job. Homelessness is such an important issue.
Yeah.
You see more and more people out in the streets.
Yes, and you've been nothing but supportive. I meant that very much sincerely. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest stats that have come out, but every night in this country, the lucky country, supposedly, 120,000 plus people don't have a place that they call their regular home. 1 in 4 of those people under the age of 25, and some as young as 12 years old. And there are a lot of misconceptions about how you find yourself experiencing homelessness. The most common one is cause. The most common cause of homelessness is family violence and domestic violence. And so, like, I was very lucky. I grew up in a house where, at the very least, it was safe. But for a lot of kids out there, they don't have that. And then the people constantly, when I've done shows on segments on this show in the past, the most common thing that people say to me first time is, oh, well, you just sleep on a mate's couch, right? You just do that for a little bit. And I think they've never thought that idea through, because what happens is you sleep on a mate's couch and you maybe do that for a week, maybe a month, and then that friendship becomes strained. Then you do that one more time, then you've done that a few more times. Not only have you ruined the few friendships that you might have through no fault of your own, just trying to get your head back above water, but also imagine how you feel about yourself. You're suddenly a burden. And so then if you're lucky enough, you might have a car and you can sleep in your car for a bit. And I don't know if you guys have ever tried to get benefits or a job when you don't have a fixed address, but it becomes pretty hard. And a lot of people don't realise you can become homeless in a matter of days, but managing to fight your way out of it is a process that can take years.
Now, you guys raised a lot of money. The campaign's raised a lot of money, a lot of funds over the years. How's the money spent?
So these exact hoodies that we're wearing right now, the first and foremost thing is all of the profits from these go to helping young people currently experiencing homelessness. That's the bag. Look how good that is.
Well done, Sarah. Fantastic.
So all the money goes to young people currently experiencing homelessness. So there is programs that Homie do that get them qualifications, a assert in business. You can see the store there. So the Homie guys also partner up with other retailers. So big brands like Nike, Champion, Sports Girl. I want to mention Champion as well because on top of all of that, so they try and give young people a pathway out of like permanent homelessness. Yeah. But on top of that, Champion, for every hoodie that you buy, they will donate one to a young person currently sleeping rough.
And they're the best.
They're the best. I mean, last year alone, it was nearly 3,000 hoodies. So that number I mentioned earlier, that means roughly 1 in 10 young people experiencing homelessness will end up with, at the very least, a hoodie to keep themselves warm over winter.
And we should point out range of colours. So
Range of
there's a greyish
grey one under the desk.
Apparently the green is the best seller.
The green is good.
The green is good. Blue's good.
They're all good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd root you all.
Yeah. I was wondering how long it would take for the real Tommy to come out then.
We should disclose not the highest bar, but there you go.
We're just glad to be on the list.
If you would like to know how you can get yourself a Homie hoodie, head to our website. In the
They're
meantime,
limited edition. Grab them now. Homie.com.au.
Yeah. Neil Finn after the break. See you soon.
Now it's time for my famous Bob Catter segment that we all know and love called What is Bob on About Today?
We have a serious problem. We're run by imbeciles. They know everything about everything because they got 2 university degrees in arts or law. There is going to be no turtles and there is going to be no cassowaries. The pigs will take the eggs. Don't talk to me about traps. That is ridiculous. There is only one thing that deals with a pig, and that is a rifle. And you give it back to the local lads. When the rugby league season finished, we'd go pig shooting every weekend. That's the way it should be.
I mean, I think he's talking about pig shooting and giving guns to rugby league players, which, if that's the case, Mad Monday this year is going to be crazy.
Hey, and in a big turn of news, singing to your baby is something experts say parents should do more often because it can have a positive impact on a baby's mood.
That guitar's got to be bad.
A new study shows that it can benefit the long-term health of mums and dads as well. Did you sing to your kids, Pricey?
You've got to be kidding. I think
I've never heard you sing ever, actually.
I would have hired our next guest to sing to
That is
baby.
a very good forward promotion by you.
He's smart, isn't it?
This is actually amazing, though, because in the study as well, people just do it instinctively.
They sing.
And there's an amazing study I remember coming across where they studied how people sing to their babies compared to their pets, and they're quite different.
Really?
And each is done, especially with the kids, it's perfect for transmitting language and creating conversation.
Oh, of course.
And we just do this instinctively. We don't need training.
And if
on
you're
it.
bad at singing, it might encourage the child to talk earlier. Because they'll be like, you got to shut up.
Exactly.
So it could work.
Needs must.
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
exactly right. Our next guest is a national treasure, even if they say that across the ditch too.
In the long line of things Aussies claim as theirs that are in fact from New Zealand, Crowded House and Neil Finn may be the most adored. Sorry, Pav.
Always take the weather with you.
Beginning early 80s with Split Ends, it was the formation of Crowded House, which resulted in hit after hit, becoming one of the most critically loved bands in the world.
Tonight, Crowded House are being inducted into the Australian Hall of Music fame.
The latest iteration of Crowded House is a family affair, and they're bringing the magic on tour.
Such good songs. Would you please welcome Neil Finn? Hey, Neil, always great to have you on. We didn't want to have to bring this up, but frankly, it's Rolling Stone's fault. They have said this Red Hot Summer Tour, they have called it a heavyweight, all-Australian lineup. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind, you know. I belong to a few different families, and the Australian family is just fine with me.
Excellent.
Well, the other mistake they made, it's in November, which is spring by most people's calculations, I would have thought.
Let's hope. Yeah, I know. Well, Red Hot, it's a slightly... no, I won't even say it, but But you have a title like Red Hot. Let's hope it is just spring, not summer, really.
Yeah.
Not to be too red hot.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned that you belong to some different families. It's got a bit of a family vibe, this tour. They've got the Finns are there, the Seymours, Angus and Julia Stone. What is this just like a family group holiday? You get a house down the coast, get into it?
It sort of is. Yeah, it sort of is. Well, I sang to my babies when they were young, and I know you were talking about that before. And it was in order to train them to be in Crowded House one day. So, they knew the words to, Don't Dream It's Over by the time they were about 2.
That's cheaper.
And
Smart.
now they're playing it. It's great.
Fantastic.
But it's a family thing, yeah. Nick and catching up with his brother and, Angus and Julia and me and my boys.
Neil, we had Cheng on the program before you. She spent 3 years in solitary confinement in a Chinese jail cell, and she said your music, she used to sing it to herself, and that's what got her through that period. What particular song was it?
She actually said, she said, this was just off air too. It was Don't Dream It's Over, and she said the line was, there is freedom within, there is freedom without, and she said that was inspirational to her and helped get her through it. I mean, your reaction to that?
Wow, that's sensational. I'm constantly amazed and gratified and grateful for the exchange that happens when songs go out there, and always surprises me where they turn up. And that's one of the best stories I've heard recently. So, yeah, I'm very happy that it gave her some comfort. That's all you could hope for as a songwriter, is that you're able to, lighten people's load a little bit, maybe brighten their day, all those sort of things. It feels like it means something, and it keeps me totally compelled and fascinated,
Neil, also, when I go to the pub too long, my girlfriend says you better be home soon. So I don't know if that makes you feel the same.
It's the same thing, yeah.
Well, but you're ordering something so strong from the bar, aren't you? At the time.
Not bad at all.
He knows all the songs. It's amazing how he does that. Hey, I guess what this does show, though, is you just have so many great ones that mean so much to so many people. And when you're doing a live set like this, it must be hell just trying to figure out how far back you go, and then you're releasing new stuff. How do you put all this together as a set list?
Well, it's my job to do the set list, and I'm always conscious, and especially getting out to some of these places we're going to do on this tour, is places we haven't been for many years and places we've never been. That's what's really quite appealing about this. We're getting out to the... it's easy just to stick to the cities, and Australia is a vast country, and the country areas actually contribute a lot to the character of the place. So we're looking forward to it, and I'll be giving the people all of the songs that they know and love to sing. We did it recently at the Byron Bay Blues Festival, and people sang us. They sang louder than us for half the night, and we love it like that. So we might try out a couple of new things. We're working on new material too, because we're a band, and we are just as fascinated by being a band as we ever were, but we'll certainly be throwing all the ones in there that people like to sing, and a couple of, loose cannons.
Loose cannons.
Hey, is there a song, I mean, we love all of your songs, but is there a song that the fans love that you just go, oh, God, not again, I don't want to sing this one?
Not really. I feel pretty lucky. I think it would be really unfortunate to have your biggest song be a novelty song, and that does unfortunately happen to some people. But I'm really pretty proud and happy to sing the songs that are our most known songs. I haven't got sick of Don't Dream It's Over, and it seems to have a second, third, fourth, fifth life.
We love you.
Well, you've just told me about another one, so...
Go see Neil Finn. You're at Crowded Summer Tour. That's tomorrow.